Okay. So the girls have changed the configuration of the rooms, and I still can't seem to be the host on my own platform off of this. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Welcome, Linda. 8-9 what? Sorry, my mom's just asked me a quick question. So Linda, this is Alicia, and Alicia is someone that I have worked with since 2018. She has been single-handedly instrumental in the marketing of my business. And this is Linda, and Linda lives up in Newfoundland. Do I get that? Did I get that right?
Newfoundland. It's like understand Newfoundland, same emphasis.
Newfoundland. Anyway, she's way the heck up there.
Yeah.
She's an hour and a half ahead of us on the East Coast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't even know that was possible.
Right?
Yeah. Far northeast, north and east of Nova Scotia. It's the eastern.
Oh, I've been to Nova Scotia before.
Yeah, we're northeast.
It's even more east. Oh my God! Wow.
And north. Yeah, we're the easternmost
Wow.
Canadian province.
Wow, that's amazing.
So Linda is someone that found me through, what's her name? Channeling Jesus, Tina Spalding. And she came and we had a very, very powerful healing session together. And since then, she has joined the Trinity Book Club that we did for the Magdalene kind of chronicles of the Expected One, the Book of Love, and then the Poet Prince. And then she suggested, and I was delighted with the idea of going through 3 more Magdalene books that were channel material by a man named Stuart Prentice and another woman. Stuart Wilson and something Prentice. And this is people who studied with Dolores Cannon, and then they, what did they do? They found these beings who talked about being Essenes and Magdalene and Yeshua and a whole bunch of stuff. Melchizedek, Metatron, really, really cool stuff. So that's the next book club that we're going to do. And we're going to do that starting in June. I have a feeling it's going to be a little longer, though. There's a lot of materials in there, maybe a little longer than what we've done before, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, so I appreciate Linda very much for that. And Linda, you did IT, you said, for many, many years.
Pardon me? I did what?
So it looks like it's just us 3 little chickens today.
Yes. We had some more people who signed up too. I sent them the email and we got 8 email opens recently. So I wonder if people are just getting their little ducks together.
Maybe. Well, we can chat for a bit and see if anybody else joins.
Yeah, and then we could also go live on Facebook.
I was just about to do that.
Perfect.
Let me do that. Let's see. Alrighty. Okay. Meeting is being live streamed. My mom and I got back from having lunch together, and I said, "Mom, let's go for a walk around the neighborhood. It's just really, really beautiful out." And she's like, "I'm tired. I ate too much." And I said, "That's the exact reason why we should go for a walk." So we took a little walk around the neighborhood. It was very, very sweet. And at one point, she's like, "Oh, I can't walk any further." And I just came behind her and I just like put love and energy into her. And then we were able to walk the rest of the way home. Yeah, it's 60.
That's so beautiful.
It's nice, and it's going to be nice weather this week, ranging between like 59 and 68. So
is that nice?
It is. It is really nice. By the way, when do you fly into New York? I know.
I
Listen,
didn't book my flight yet, but I think May 1st.
You can't compare it to the tropics where it's like 82 every day. It's just
Yeah, right.
not fair. Anyway, Linda, I don't know if you've heard my story of the Akashic Records, and then you're going to get to hear Alicia's story as well. But my journey with the Akashic Records began when I was 11 years old, and my mom had given me a copy of The Sleeping Prophet about Edgar Cayce, given to her by a friend of hers named Kathleen Unger. Kathleen was into, everything kind of new agey. And I read this book and I was just fascinated. My sister read it as well. And he talked about the Akashic Records by doing past life work. He would help people heal. He would tell them, what their trauma was and how to, like calm them down. Like there was a young boy who came, he was very, very nervous. And he went into the Akashic Records and told the mom that he had died with a belly full of buckshot in the Civil War, and what she could do to help him to calm down. I lived in Virginia for a year and got to go to his center, the ARE, the Association for Research and Enlightenment, and it was very much like spiritual Disneyland for me. It's the second largest metaphysical library, the first largest being in the Vatican. So it's just incredible what they have. And I had borrowed a book from them many, many years ago when I had been to visit. And the whole time I lived in Virginia, I couldn't find the book to return it. I had had it for years, so I couldn't borrow anything new. And then as I was packing to move, I found the book. By the grace of God, completed that relationship. I think I had like $25 in overdue library fees. Could have been a lot worse. I don't think the book was even worth that much. And they had 2 copies of it. But what I found in the work of Edgar Cayce was a love for the Akashic Records. But in my mind, at 11 years old, you needed to go to India to get your Akashic Records read. So imagine my surprise when I'm 17 years old. No, not 17 years old. In 2017, I knew there was a 17 involved. I feel like emotionally sometimes I'm still about 17 years old. So there you go. But in 2017, I saw a girlfriend of mine online. Her name is Tiffany. And she said, hey, I just got trained to read the Akashic Records. Who would like a free reading? And I was like, pick me, pick me. Like I was excited out of my mind. I'm texting her behind the scenes going, oh my God, I want a reading. I want a reading. And I got a reading and it made me cry because it was just such an affirmation of my life. And then I had James get a reading. She was still practicing. And then I said, how did you learn to read the Akashic Records? And she said that she had learned from a person who 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 learned from Linda Howe. And Linda Howe is the woman who wrote the quintessential book on how to read the Akashic Records entitled How to Read the Akashic Records. So I friended Linda and I kept my eyes out. And then one day she said she was going to do a training, a 3-month training. At the time, it seemed incredibly expensive to me. I wasn't used to knowing these prices, It was $850. And I thought, oh my God, but I'll know how to read the Akashic Records. I would have paid anything. Short of sacrificing my cat, I would have done anything to learn to read the Akashic Records. You know what I'm saying? So I did this training. And the very, very first time I opened the records, these beings in the records were jumping up and down and they started screaming at me, halls of Amenti, halls of Amenti, halls of Amenti. And I was freaked out of my mind. So I closed the records and I was like, what was that? What was that? So I went to Linda and I was like, what just happened? And she said, they're obviously very excited to see you. Just ask them to calm down and to slow down and, to tell you what that's all about. So I Googled halls of Amenti, and the halls of the Amenti were where the Akashic Records were kept in Atlantis. So I went back in and they said, you are one of the guardians of the records. I was like, what does that mean? And they said, that means that you are supposed to teach others how to read the records. It's like, wow. So I asked Linda questions from I'm going to teach this someday point of view. I think I asked her too many questions. I definitely think I was not one of her favorites. But I got to meet some people. It was a platform called Learn It Live. It was like a Zoom platform. Like everybody was on screen in these tiny little boxes and you got to know people from all over the world. And Spirit showed me that one day I would be doing something like that with lots and lots of people. And I remember when I had my first masterclass that had 500 people registered and I had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people on screen. It was an incredible experience. So that's how my teaching kind of developed. And then, of course, with the advent of COVID, it became very handy that we had Zoom and this kind of platform. So I have taught hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of readings for probably, thousands of hours. And I have the most profound relationship with the Akashic records. And Alicia is one of the people that I taught very early on. And Alicia, you want to share about your experience with the records, because your relationship with the records is extraordinary as well.
Yeah, so I learned how to read the Akashic records with Lynn. And when I was younger, I was going through this very deep healing period in my life where there was just so much stuck and blocked energy stemming from my childhood. And I came to Lynn. I was like, Lynn, I don't care what you do. Just take me into my healing path. Show me the way. And Lynn basically took me under her wing, and I've learned so much from her throughout this entire time. But one of the first things we started with was psychic surgery. So psychic surgery, we went in, we cleared the energy blockages that I had, released the energy, and it helped me to move forward, move into the space of being empowered, move into the space of not being held back. So after that experience, I wanted to understand more deeply the pain that I experienced. I was like, why would the universe put me through this? Why would the universe put me in a situation where I had to do such deep healing? What did I do to the universe? And the thing with the Akashic records is that it's the living library, the history of all information regarding your soul, regarding other people's soul, regarding information about Earth, about the universe. And what I did,
every word, every action, everything is recorded in the records. It's like spiritual iCloud.
Yes. So basically what we did was I had a dream one night that I was in this library, and I didn't even know anything really about the Akashic records. I've maybe heard the word here and there, but I mentioned to Lynn, and then she's like, "You were in the Akashic records," and I was like, "What's that?" And it turns out she was hosting an Akashic record class at that time.
We have 2 more people that just joined us.
Yay, amazing. Welcome.
Hey, Carol.
Welcome, goddesses.
Hi, welcome.
So exciting.
We're just giving you a brief synopsis of our relationships with the Akashic records.
Yes.
This is all about an Akashic record immersion program.
Yes. So I'm so excited. So basically, I was so much in my mindset playing the victim. I was always like, I didn't do anything to the universe. Why would I be given this pain? And it was that mentality that needed to shift. And I was at the point of recognizing that there was some sort of awareness that I needed to step into. So I had this dream about the records. Turns out Lynn is hosting a class about the Akashic records, literally later that week. And I sat in on the class, and I learned so much about my soul, about my history, about my generational traumas. One thing about the Akashic records is that it puts you in the seat of recognizing why you signed up for the life that you've received. And that is something that is so empowering. And especially for people who've been through traumas, it helped me to recognize the patterns that I was repeating in my life, and also stemming from past lives, different things that I've brought into this lifetime to heal. Even to be more specific, the relationship with my mother, my mother was one of the most difficult relationships that I had to deal with on this earth. And I'm so grateful for my mother. But at the time, I was so hurt by our relationship, and I was so jaded by all of the trauma that I experienced that I was not trying to see anything through her perspective. I was like, she abused me, she hit me, she verbally abused me, all of this. And I wasn't able to fully see who she was and like the depth of our relationship. But through having this Akashic record reading and diving more deeply into the Akashic records, I basically was able to see that also I hurt my mother, that I was also the person who signed up for this relationship, that I needed to grow my soul, that I needed to learn all of these things. And it's like when you start to shift that perspective from the victim of all of these things happened to me to like all of these things are happening for a reason, it completely shifts your relationship with that. And that's really when I began embarking more deeply on this spiritual journey.
It's that beautiful saying that life isn't happening to you, life is happening for you. And when you're willing to take radical self-responsibility for everything that has occurred to you, when you realize that you wrote the script, you were the casting director, you were the director, and you were the producer of your life and all your other lifetimes, you come to see, and what we teach you in teaching you how to read the records, and then in how to do healing within the records, because there's reading of the records, there's healing in the records, and then there's, you know, finding out about like, what is your soul journey, being able to look into the future, being able to look into the past, being able to meet aspects of yourself in simultaneous existences. I had one student and he said that he went to his round table, which is where you do your work with your guidance. And he met an Arcturian aspect of himself. And the Arcturian aspect of himself said to him, I didn't know I had a human aspect. You know, like they don't know about us as much as we don't know about them. But when you learn to go into and find out what are the soul contracts written on the scrolls, what are the lessons that you're here to learn? Because understand that in each lifetime, it's almost like a funnel, like all the lifetimes pour into this one. And what it is you're experiencing, whether it's trauma in relationships, whether it's struggles with finances, whether, you know, you're having a hard time learning how to read or how to speak, whether it's you're an incredible athlete or you're not, you know, good in sports, whether it's that you love to travel around the world or you're a homebody, whatever these aspects are, whatever your challenges are, you know, challenges with your health, these are things that you have chosen to work on. And when you can come to understand that everybody that you've brought into your life, the people that love you and the people that challenge you, the people that trigger you, the people that annoy you, you've brought them in, you've hired them, and you've said, look, we're going to go to Earth, and here's the deal. You're going to be the mom, you're going to be the dad, you're going to be the brother, you're going to be the sister, you're going to be the aunt, the uncle, the grandmother, the grandfather, the priest, the nun. There was one girl in our community, and she had a horrible time with the nuns. They used to like wrap her on her hand, and, you know, trauma with the nuns. Whether it's going to be, you know, the teacher, whoever it is, it's going to traumatize you. Whoever it is, it's going to, you know, set you up to think and to believe the way that you do. Whoever these people are in your life, you've hired each and every one of them. You've requested them to be who they are in your life, because there are things that you're meant to forgive. There are things that you're meant to forgive that you've done to other people, and now you get to experience what that's like for yourself. There's places of self-forgiveness, things that you're going to have to come to understand about yourself. All of this information sits for you in the Akashic records. It's extraordinary.
This whole experience is about healing and about knowing your soul. And I feel like when I was first dealing with healing my traumas, I was in such a jaded, limited perspective about what this was. And when I learned how to dive into the Akashic records, and when I learned how to be empowered with these different healing tools, there was so much depth and love in this healing that I recognized, like, that's how I found God. That's how I found my connection to God, was through this healing. It was like, God loves me so much to put me through this, to put me through all of this so that I can heal and I can step into this beautiful version of myself. And even through all of the traumas, ultimately at the end of it, and it's hard to see when you're dealing with the pain, that there is this ultimate source of love that it's like almost like you know, it's like that harsh love, you know, like when you know, some people are like, they say like, oh, so it's like, what is that called, like when you're basically like
Tough love.
yeah, tough love, that was the phrase. It's basically like tough love. It's like, it's going to put you through the most difficult things so that you can love and know your soul. And now that I've stepped into my healing, I'm so grateful for even the most difficult points of my path from before, when I used to just hate everything about my life. This is the journey about healing. This is the journey about knowing yourself. It's the path of forgiveness, the path of awareness, the path of empowerment, and discovering the light that was there the entire time. Because if I didn't go through what I did before, I wouldn't be who I am now, which is so much more expansive and filled with light and experiences, a completely different life that I would have lived had I not gone through what I did before.
We get forged by the fire of our own existence. It's like when they create a sword and they put it into the fire to burn off the dross, to burn off the impurities. We get forged by the fire of what we're able to withstand. And when you have an oyster and there's a piece of sand that gets into it, it creates a substance called nacre that covers the sand and it becomes a pearl. When you have a lump of coal and there's enough pressure that is applied to it, it becomes a diamond. And we are tested and we are fortified by our lives.
Yes. And that's the powerful thing about doing this work, is that you have to be strong enough and you have to have the willpower to go on this healing journey, to allow yourself to see that there's so much more beyond your own perception of what's happening. And it can be a very expansive experience. Part of it is like recognizing, like, I'm not just only the victim. I've made some of these choices here. I've even chosen to come into this lifetime to experience these things. And that deep level of choosing to experience these things through the vehicle of this body into this life, this is like the ultimate spiritual journey. And so through your exploration of the Akashic records, you can look and explore into all of these relationships in your life, the relationship with your mother, the relationship with your father, the relationship with your brothers and sisters, the relationship with your mentors, your romantic partners. And you start to examine from a third party perspective why you had to go through these different connections.
You learn about how you were inculcated by the things that the teacher said. I remember I was in science class and I loved science. And in 7th grade, I said to my teacher, does anybody have any questions? And I said, is it true that a monkey has 2 brains, one in the head and one in the base of the tail to operate his tail? And he looked at me and he said, that is the stupidest question I have ever heard in my life. And I was devastated. I didn't like science. I got kicked out of his class. Like I was just, teachers can really make an impact on you. Spiritual leaders, you get raised in a certain religion with certain beliefs and you come to think that that's the truth. When Jesus came to me and he said, you are not born of original sin, you are born of original innocence. There is no such thing as sin. I was like, what? Things that we find out later in life that completely change the paradigm of how we've ever lived within our existences. Anyway, all that's available to you in the Akashic records. So we teach people how to read the Akashic records. We teach people how to do healing in the Akashic records. And then if becoming a teacher, to be able to teach this to other people is something that you want to do, we teach that as well. Because it is definitely the soul's journey of ascension. You'll have to excuse me for 1 minute. I've got a cat that's been locked in a room behind a glass door.
Little Astro. Funny that you mentioned Astro, because it's so funny because we even enter into soul contracts with our animals, with our guides, So basically the theory of the Akashic records is that there is this plane of energetic information. It's basically like, think of soul's information equivalent to like how expansive the internet is, but even more expansive, containing all information, all patterns, all thoughts, all emotions on this plane of existence. So it's essentially like a dimensional plane. So
It's not
Oh.
just this plane of existence. It goes through time and space.
Yes.
You know, it's really quite fascinating. You can go into the future. You can go into the past. You can find out why you have the things that you do. You know, why you've been married to whom you've been married to, why you have the children that you do, why you had the parents that you do. It crosses every single dimension that you can imagine. It's fascinating.
So if you've ever heard of past life healing, this contains an aspect of that. And this was one of the keys for me healing the relationship with my mother, because I was just in this place of, all right, she's hurt me my entire life. This is all her fault. I'm dealing with depression because of her. Stepping into the records, I was able to actually get this vision that in a past life, I was her mother and I put her through things similar to what I experienced in this lifetime. Then I also had an experience where through the Akashic records, I also saw the generational trauma that was passed down to her. Also understanding like what my grandmother did to her, what my great grandmother did to her mother, and all of this pattern that was woven down into my life. And with that understanding, I recognized that this pain was so much bigger than what I thought I was experiencing. And this is really what projected me into my healing. And that's the power of the Akashic records and how applicable it is.
Yeah, it applies to every single aspect of your life. So when I found out that I was a guardian of the records, I then felt it was my responsibility to teach and to educate. Because if you've ever felt like you have gifts, or you've had an interest or an inkling in anything to do with clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, or claircognizance, like to be able to see beyond what we normally see with the eyes, to be able to hear beyond the physical ears, to feel like all of a sudden the room gets colder or your hair stands on end. You know that there's somebody there, you can see there's somebody there, you can hear them, or you just know information that comes. I always knew what was coming since I was really, really young. We teach you how to sharpen those skills. They're called, we do a process called clearing the clairs, in which you actually measure what your clairs are on a scale. And then we help you to go in using psychic surgery, the technique that Alicia referred to. And we go in and we help you to move the needle. You know, on a scale of 0 to 100, where do you come out? And we take your lowest one and then we go in. And if you have blockage with your clairvoyance or your clairaudience, we go into the third eye. If it's with your clairsentience, we go into the heart. And if it's with your claircognizance, we work on the crown. And as those open up, what happens is you find yourself more and more psychic. You find yourself suddenly talking to beings on the other side. I started channeling Archangel Uriel yesterday, Uriel. What an extraordinary being. I think I channel about 13 or 14 of them right now. And he was a whole other lesson. He is a whole other experience. It was one of the wooziest channelings I've ever done. It's up on the YouTube channel. But when you have these different experiences, you find out that you're here for a sole purpose that's far greater than anything you ever knew. You know, we're not here to do the menial jobs. We're here to bring forth light. We're light workers. And Alicia and I are way showers, and we're here to help the light workers to bring back all their gifts and abilities. So we have a class that's coming up. We're going to start it next week, but we're actually going to wait one more week. We're going to start at the beginning of May. It's called the Akashic Records Immersion. We have 3 different levels. We have a level if you just want to learn how to read the records for yourself and other people. We have a lesson if you want, a level that's if you want to learn how to do healing for yourself and others in the records. And then one if you want to become a teacher. So it's either a 4-week, 1 month, 8-week, 2 month, or 12-week, 3-month immersion. And you know, we have different pricing accordingly. But if this is something that your soul calls you to do, we invite you to consider coming to this class because it's going to be mind-blowing. I've been teaching this material since 2018 Alicia has as well. She's been using it with clients, with students. And Alicia, after I helped her with this stuff with her mom, takes the most gorgeous pictures of me, pictures that I've had that have been the most beautiful pictures I've had, even if it's at a casual dinner and she goes click across the table. I said to her, why are you able to take such beautiful pictures of me? And she said, because you healed me. I can see your light. And that just touched my heart. I just had an interaction with one of my most prolific students, a woman by the name of Jill. And Jill and I had been at odds with each other because she felt that I was picking on her. And maybe, you know, it was just having high expectations for her. But she came to me yesterday and she said, I finally understood that I have asked you to be exactly who you have been with me. And I want to thank you for the fact that you trigger so many people, including myself, that you are the one that is willing to push our buttons to bring us to our greatness, because that's what you see in us. And I said, Jill, honestly, that's the only thing I've ever done. And I was crying my eyes out as she's telling me this in class last night. And then she talked about it again on the morning platform. And I felt seen, because what I am here to do is to help the light workers of the world come back to life. That's my mission. That's my purpose. You know, by the grace of God, I've got Jesus and a whole host of, you know, ascended beings that are helping me with that. And a bunch of earthbound angels like Alicia that help me with that as well. Does anyone have any questions? Anything that you want to know about everything that we've said? Nothing?
One thing that I'll say too is that when you sharpen your psychic abilities, it just heightens your experience with everything in this world, you know?
Life.
It helps you to understand, it helps you to feel on a deeper level, it helps you to just reach this place of interaction with Earth, with the universe on such a deep level. And this is something that everyone is able to do once they step into the right mindset, perspective, and they're willing to train themselves. We all have some natural ability of intuition. This just helps you to take this to the next level with your access to this information. And if you've ever had a gut feeling and you instantly knew something and you're like, wait, how did I just do that? You know, that's you tapping into that psychic and intuitive field.
Absolutely.
What this does is it helps you to sharpen those skills so that not only is it coming naturally to you, but you'll know how to tap more deeply in through your own methods.
Yeah, you come to find out that yes, you may be trained in learning how to open the records, but there are many ways to get there. There are, you know, if you're here and if this is calling to you, if there's some part of you that was felt drawn here, understand that your soul has called you, your higher self. There's an aspect of you that's being asked to be awoken, that's being asked to remember. That's the one thing that Jesus says to me all the time. He's one of the people that I channel. And he's just so real. He talks about the Akashic records in A Course in Miracles. He talks about it in the work of The Way of Mastery, which is another beautiful series of channeled information that a bunch of us are studying. And he says, you know, don't get hung up on what's in the records, because, you know, in the end, I don't mean to ruin the ending for you, but everybody ends up back in the kingdom, right? But in the meantime, there's stuff that we have to get through. And the Akashic records is one way of finding out what that stuff is. And he's taught me, and I've taught hundreds and hundreds of people, these amazing tools to be able to navigate this life so that you can live with love and you can live in forgiveness. And you can let go of shame and you can let go of guilt and everything that's ever impeded you in any way in life. So we would love to invite one person who would like to have an experience of having their records read. Is there anybody that wants to volunteer for that?
Right now, hot seat.
Anyone feeling brave? Please understand we are, Farah, I'd love that. We're simulcast on Facebook, so this is going broadly, and this gets recorded and put for posterity inside of my YouTube channel. So if you're willing to be that brave soul today.
She's in it. I feel it.
Like, I mean, I raised my hand, so I don't want to.
No,
Like,
you're
no,
good. Listen,
honor
they're not gonna say you were Genghis Khan and you murdered millions of people. Let me repeat that. They might. I've never seen it go that dark, but it's possible. Just saying.
Yeah, that was, I guess, associated with the question too of like navigating, I guess, the fear around like tapping into the Akashic records. Like, because me personally, I just actually got off the phone with a friend and she was asking me about a past life regression that I experienced on plant medicine. And I was like, I didn't choose it because it's like that's just been an aspect of me that I guess I've been very fearful of, like tapping into my gifts, but always feeling like I kind of suppress them in a lot of ways out of fear. And so, yeah, I guess associated with like one of my questions of like how did you navigate through those feelings of like initially of like feeling the call, but like the resistance around it of like, do I want to know? Like, how is this going to affect me? Am I going to be able to like, I always like to use the analogy of, am I going to be like so deep into the other realms that like I'm not going to be focused on like wanting to like eat cereal and like hang out with my friends or like, like and be a human. It's like there's like a fear in me of like, am I going to just get called into this like other world? And
Girl.
like,
Oh my
I want
God.
to be able to like,
Just look at our lives. It's all about the balance. It's all about the balance.
We are now all best friends because I got to tell you, Archangel Uriel showed up and he's like, good job. I'm not eating gluten, for the past 30 days. Now you're cutting out sugar. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And he's like, yeah. And then you're going to be going raw vegan. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Are you sure you have the right person? 'Cause I'm like round and juicy. And and he's like, please, you have much bigger things to do than indulge. You've indulged for how many lifetimes? Like, knock it off. It's time to step up. Like, this is the tough love that I get from them. Hello, much less, everybody else. Oh, listen, there's either love or fear, right? You're either choosing love, which is always going to elevate you, or you choose fear, which can kind of keep you stuck or kind of pull you down. So it is a big question. And I totally get it. I totally do. Do I even want to know? I wasn't sure I wanted to know until I wanted to know, and then nothing could keep me from it. So it's a really good question. And I think you got to look to your heart and you got to see if the answer is yes. And if the answer is yes, let's do it. Alicia, do you want to do this one?
Sure. Yeah, I actually do. And I would say
That's what I heard. Yes.
I would say too, like, there was so much fear when I was first stepping into the records as well. Like, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna like learn how to channel. I'm gonna learn how to do all these things. Like, how can I be a human being? Girl, I still show up at the club in New York. Like, I'm still living life. I'm living my best life in Costa Rica. And I feel like with the path that I've chosen, there was at first this huge fear, like, am I just going to be this freak that just sees everything and knows everything from the distance and like all of this? But like, I live such a beautiful heightened life through doing this work. I've literally manifested my dream house in Costa Rica. I'm
At
surrounded by
27 years old. She bought a home in Costa Rica. Like,
surrounded by so many friends who genuinely love me and also respect my practice, like things that I never thought was possible because of who I was surrounded by.
And she was also voted 30 out of 30 in the state
30
of
under 30.
Sorry, 30 under 30. Wait, I've got two more people to come in. Oh, Marlene.
What's happening? Aww. Welcome. Oh, yay.
Marlene.
So that's the thing, like all of this. Yay, so good to see you.
Hi, sweet girl.
All of this is happening for us. If you feel the call, there is going to be that first initial fear. There is going to be those first initial, oh my God, am I a freak? Yes, I'm a freak, and people love the freak. Like, it's definitely like when I first started doing this online, I used to get made fun of, and Lynn would be like, yeah, but also look at how many people who love you and who see you stepping into your power. And that was a huge part of it. And I literally all of us had to embrace this, you know, and we find our community through this. We find the places that we are safe, and we find the places that we are highly revered.
So I got to tell you that I have a mentor, a very, very high profile mentor. And I was live with her one day. Her name is Melanie Ann Lair. And I said, Melanie, I just feel like such a weirdo. And she goes, you are a weirdo. She goes, and I'm like, oh my God, I really am. She goes, but Lynn, so was I. She said, when I first came into the coaching industry and I spoke the way I did and did everything I did, I was considered such a weirdo. So every day a group of us gets together for a couple hours. And one of the books we read is this book called The Way of the Heart. And it says the teachings of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. And it's this woman named Sophie Rose. And she's like, you know, I was meditating and then all of a sudden Jesus started showing up and he kept wanting to talk to me and I wanted nothing to do with him. She's like, I didn't want to be one of those people who channeled him. Neither did I, by the way. And she said, but he just was so annoying and so persistent. I'm like, hello. And she said, so finally one day I was like, what do you want? And they started writing poetry together. And then he introduced Magdalene, which he did with me as well. And then they wrote this book together. And here is lesson 20. He says, Yeshua, I was considered an outcast and a weirdo in my life as Jesus. The teachings continued because people saw the truth in them. More people will soon discover the wisdom of the spiritual hierarchy. What's important is to apply the teachings. I'm not interested in this crowd of New Agers who think that they're going to heal the world by sitting on a cushion. They need to wake up. Jesus's words, not mine. So is it weird? It's completely fucking weird. It's weird and it's wonderful. You know, I just did this video over on TikTok and I was like, I'm going to cut off all my hair. You know, I'm Lynn. I love Jesus. I channel Jesus and I love to say the word fuck. Like I'm a New Yorker and that's just my expression. If it offends you, you know, okay. To me, I'd rather hear someone who curses because to me, I know they're honest and they're not like guarding themselves, you know? So I'm definitely a weirdo. Like what I do and what I bring to the world, I'm like, I channeled Archangel Uriel.
By the way, on that video, she got over 600,000 views because she was so purely authentically herself.
And Jesus talks about that. He's like, we need authenticity. He said, we need you to be authentic. He said, if you try to people please, if you try to have people like you, if you try to be who you think other people think you should be, he said, you came here to have the experience of you. That is your soul contracts. That's what's written in your records. And what you have to go back and heal in the records are all the places where you sold out and where you weren't authentically you. So with that said, Farah, are you up for this? Dude, it's a handful. Right on, baby. Right on. All right, Alicia, you got the prayer ready?
Yes, I just asked her, Farah, can you type in your full first name, your
Middle
full legal
name.
name, basically?
Yeah.
Like however it is on your
Taxes.
birth certificate.
Not birth certificate, because sometimes what's on people's birth certificates, they've been married. So I always say what's either what's on your driver's license or how you would sign your taxes.
Okay, I love that.
As you change, adapt, and grow, so do the records. So at your birth, your records were labeled, like for me, it was Lynn Ann Degar, and now it's Lynn Laborde Eastman. Okay, beautiful. Farah Deshane, is it Deshane? Please unmute, baby.
I'm sorry. It's Deshawn.
Deshawn. Okay, Roberts. Okay, beautiful. So Alicia is going to say a prayer. Part of it is said aloud, part of it is said silently. She's going to open your records. And then here's what I want you to do. I want you to think of questions that you want to know about yourself. What are you afraid of? Why do you love the things you do? Why do you have the addictions you do? Why do you have the parents that you do? You can't ask a question like, why is my mom this way? Why is my boyfriend this way? But you can say, what is my soul contract with these people? So it's always self-interested. And why questions are really powerful. Why do I love snakes and I'm scared of spiders, you know? Why do I love dolphins and I'm terrified of sharks?
Yes, it could even be about your past lives, things that you've experienced, your spiritual journey.
But specific. The more specific you are, the more they're able to like dial in.
Yes. Okay, perfect.
All right, gorgeous. I'm going to mute and I'm going to let you girls go. I'm really excited for you.
Sounds amazing.
Farah,
so I'm going to just get into my state of flow and you're going to be able to know. I'm going to say the records are now open. And once I say that, you can ask your questions.
And you'll be meeting your masters, teachers, and loved ones, and the lords of the records that are going to come forth to assist you with this journey today. Okay? And I'm right here. We're all here. Take a breath. You're beautiful. You can unmute and have fun with this.
Thank you.
Allow me to be an open channel. Allow me to bring through any information for Farah Deshane Roberts. I ask to the Akashic records to receive guidance and insight for my highest good and the highest good of all beings. I ask for protection and clarity as I enter into the sacred space, to allow myself to be a conduit of information, to allow for deep information for Farah Deshane Roberts' highest good to come through. Born on April 13th, 1994. Allow me to be a conduit to bring through this information so that she may live in her highest perspective and highest good. The records are now open. Greetings, beloved.
Greetings. I would say the first question is, why am I so deeply called to share music, to sing, to create music?
Dearly beloved, your voice is a powerful conduit for spirits. Indeed, you have chosen the life, the path of a light worker here on this earth. You have felt the calling multiple times. You have felt the calling to step more deeply into your spiritual path. The path that you have chosen in this lifetime has not been easy. You have faced many tribulations, including traumas from your childhood, including parents that have hurt you, and there is pain that you still carry into this body to this day. But it is through the conduit of your voice that you heal, that you express this wisdom through your sacred voice. Your voice is a channel of light, and this is deeply embedded within your soul's purpose. You will find that the more that you continue down on your path, that you continue to allow your voice to be a conduit of light, to be a conduit of healing for those who come before you. There are times that you have shut down your voice and times that you have hidden away in fear of being seen, in fear of sharing this beautiful gift that you have within you. As you continue to confidently step into your power, you will see the healing that you have for this world through the conduit of your voice. It is up to you to make the decision to choose to embody and express your power, to allow the energy of the divine and especially the goddess to come through your voice. Not only are you singing, dear one, but you are also channeling through your voice already. It is up to you to choose to develop this gift that you have and deepen your own connection to this power that has been calling you. And forever, whenever you find your voice to be blocked, allow yourself to dive deep within your healing, to find the blockages from your childhood where you felt like you could not speak, where you felt like you could not share your voice, where you felt oppressed, like you cannot be heard. Allow yourself to embrace this healing, and you will find that your voice will amplify and shine through even brighter than before. Does this make sense, dear one?
Yes. Yes. Wow.
We are grateful to bring through this information for you. Do you have one more question, dear one?
What is what is the connection between me and my sister?
Dear one, we laugh at this indeed because there has been many ups and downs in this relationship. and you have seen moments of reflection in one another. This is one of your greatest mirrors in life, where you both have such deep gifts, and you have both equally been through traumas, and you have both equally projected these traumas onto one another, teasing each other, also sharing moments of beauty and sisterhood. You have shared many gifts, many difficult moments, and you have, even without speaking it, been through many difficult and dark times together. You will find that right now, the hiccups that you are facing in this relationship, as you continue to heal, your relationship with one another will continue to grow and strengthen. It is because you are both on this healing journey that you have faced these tribulations together. It is the uncomfortable feelings of growth that you project onto one another. There are feelings of jealousy. There are feelings of not being good enough. There are feelings of not being appreciated. Feelings of also recognizing talent. Feelings of also wanting to be loved, deeply embedded in this relationship. Feelings of being misunderstood. This is one of your greatest mirrors in life. And ultimately so, there is such a deep path of underlying love beyond this pain. Know that as you continue to heal, this relationship will help to guide you into more opportunity and growth together. As you continue to grow, you will find each other finding more commonality and more love as you continue to find your own path. And through your confidence and through her confidence as well, you will find that both of your paths are meant for so much higher energy than you place yourselves in now. The higher vibrational fields call you both in different ways, and at the core, you are different people. It is important to first embrace your own path before you embrace the path of healing with this relationship. But know that this will come together strongly, and that there are many lessons of growth, of strength that will guide you, including in your relationship with women, your relationship with other female friends in your life. This will be an ultimate reflector of your healing of the sisterhood wound. Does this make sense, dear one?
Yes.
Thank you. We have one more question that we feel on your heart.
What is my connection with the Asui lineage of Reiki?
Dear one, there has been many lifetimes that you have embodied the path of the spiritual healer. You indeed are a conduit of light, and you are stepping into your power through many different modalities. The Usui Reiki is one modality that you have experienced as a master in a past life. But dear one, in this lifetime, you seem to dabble in and out of your spiritual gifts. You stick one toe in, then you jump out of the water. It is important for you to continue to embrace the fullness of your healing capacity and ability, and allow yourself to be the full conduit of healing light, to finally fully jump into the pool. This is indeed your calling. Allow yourself to trust. Allow yourself to jump in. Allow yourself to fully embody this healing practice amongst many others. There are many souls waiting for you to jump fully into your practices, to experience your healing light. But dear one, you hold yourself back, and it is time for you to embrace the calling that you felt so far in your bones. This is the calling that many generations back of your ancestors have also dived into. It is time for you to be the healer of your lineage, to call forth your powers once again, to reconnect to your ancestors, to reconnect to your powers, and to allow yourself to be this healing force to that of many people. Trust your journey, trust your path, and trust where you are called to journey to. We believe in you, dear one, and know that this path will take you exactly as far as your soul is willing to go when you move beyond the threshold of fear and choose to see life through the lens of love once again. We wish you blessings on your path and know that you will be emerging into your power in the upcoming weeks, in the upcoming months. Please continue to dedicate yourself to the calling of your soul. May you continue to be guided and protected on your journey. The records are now closed.
Alicia, that was gorgeous. We thank you, masters, teachers, and loved ones. We thank you, lords of the records, for this blessing. And thank you to everyone. Farah, thank you so much for your courage.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah, that was
I had no expectation.
Right? So that is what it is to be a channel in the records. And Alicia is not only a guardian of the records, but she is one of the beings that channels the records. Not all people do. There are people that are able to see in the records. There are people that are able to hear in the records. There are people that are able to feel in the records. There are people that are able to know in the records. And Alicia is one of the beings that is able to channel in the records. And you just had an experience of that. And it's gorgeous.
Yay. Yeah. It's so powerful because, like, you know, when you go into that state, you're just like in this place of divine emptiness. And this is really what the core of this is about being this conduit. And I have no idea what's going to come through. I just trust it, you know? And this whole journey of diving in is really about learning through different modalities how to empty oneself, how to go in without any judgment or any biasness. How can I be this empty vehicle to receive the answers, to channel through what you need to hear?
And to be of the greatest service to the light. We literally become these open vessels. And this is something that she's developed in the spiritual work that she's done in these past 5 years. It's quite extraordinary.
Thanks to Lynn.
Well, you're welcome, but thanks to you. Listen, it takes courage to do what she just did. It takes courage to do what we both do, you know? So there's someone that I'd like to introduce you all to really quickly, and it's Laura Lee. Laura Lee is someone that has worked with us, and she is another extraordinarily gifted psychic. Someone who too has also learned to read the records, to do healing in the records. And I'm just delighted that she's here. It's great to see you, my love. I love you and we miss you.
Yay.
So I think that's it for today. Are there any
Yes.
questions? Anything anyone would like to ask? Before we go, I want to thank you all so much for being here. We will definitely drop you a link for the immersion class. It's going to start on Tuesday. One second, let me tell you for sure. Tuesday, May 2nd. Oh dear, it looks like Kat put it down for Wednesday the 3rd, but it's actually going to be on Tuesday the 2nd. We'll get that fixed. But if that's something that you'd like to do, if you'd like to come and join us for this journey, if you'd like to come and open up to your soul even more deeply, if you'd like to learn to do what it is that we do and what so many others do, if you really want to come to get to know yourself, come and join us. We would love
It's
to
a
have
soul calling. If your soul's tapping, just
Exactly.
take the time to lean into it. See what is being expressed and where you're calling to go.
Yeah.
Yay.
Thank you all so much for being here, everyone. Thank you, Farah.
Thank you, everyone. And if you
Well,
guys have
love it.
any questions, feel free to message either of us.
You can find
Thank
us
you.
everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere.
Yay.
Much love, everybody. Thank you for
Thank
being
you,
here.
everyone. Bye-bye.